All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depends on wherever you guys are watching. Here we are, the 2019 Reebok CrossFit Open. The game's here again. It's going to be 5 weeks of awesome workouts. As there are a lot of changes, but one thing is for sure, we don't know what the workouts are. It's going to be a very good test of our fitness. And of course, the format changes in terms of who gets to move forward, what the purpose is. But for a lot of gyms, it doesn't change. Much like our gyms or the people that I work with, it still remains to be the same. It's going to be it's a global competition, right? But it's a very good tool to bring the community together, and it's exactly that. Much like in the previous years, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do tips and strategies to kind of help you guys out in terms of doing your workout. Now, before anybody has some form of assumption here, our tips and strategies are more geared towards anybody and everyone who's going into the Open to have a lot of fun. If you are one of those vying to be the national champion or in the top 200 of the qualifier division like the Masters or the Teens and then moving forward, this may or may not be exactly for you, but it might actually help you guys out. So we'll try to break it down into things that kind of get you guys more prepared for the workout, and the main intention to doing this exactly is just so that you guys have a little bit more fun. Alright? So, part one, we're talking about your warm-up and mobility, and that's almost the key to any workout. One of the things that a lot of people forget about this workout is the more tightness you have, the more tension you have. The more tension you have, the faster you get tired. That being said, we're going to suggest that you guys really do a lot of mobility on your hamstrings, your quads, and your glutes. Maybe some step-ups, maybe some squats, maybe some Jefferson curls just to open things up a little bit so that when you start and doing your 15-minute workout, you're not struggling through your flexibility, and it's not one more reason for you guys to have a difficult time doing either the row or the wall balls, as you have two movements, right? 19.1, by the way, is a 15-minute AMRAP of 19 wall balls and 19 wall ball shots and a 19-calorie row, in case you guys haven't checked it out just yet. So on the row, you guys will want to take a look at, in terms of your preparation, maybe do about 2 to 3 rounds of maybe about 150 meters to 200 meter row, or you guys can just count your strokes anywhere from about 5 to 10 strokes. And what you're looking here are two things. One is your strokes per minute, that's the lower left square on your monitor. Two is the main center square, and that's going to be your calories per hour pace. Now, what you're looking at here is basically an assessment. Given that you're doing 150 meters to 200 meters, or if you're looking at calories, or you're doing about 5 to 10 strokes, what you guys want to look at is how does the rowing strokes make you guys feel? Can you sustain that in a 15-minute pace? You want to go closer to your like a 2-kilometer pace, what your pace you would sustain to try to get 2 kilometers done versus what the pace you would sustain to try to get 500 meters done. So I'll get to more into the strategy and the pacing in a bit, but in terms of your warm-up for the row, just do that. On the wall balls, what you guys want to take an assessment or look at as you guys do your warm-up sets, maybe reps of 5 to 10, would be first and foremost your stance. Play around with the stance. You want to think about narrow stance, feet under your shoulders, or feet wide stance. But one of the key important factors here, depending also on your flexibility and mobility, is that you want to try to have a more upright stance when you guys do your squats. I'll be more specific as to why in a bit, okay? But for your warm-up, that's the first thing you want to look at. Check your stance, get used to that, maintain that for later on. The second thing is play it by feel. Maybe do a set of 5, maybe do a set of 10. If you want to go for a good warm-up, go for a set of 19. And if it feels good, maybe it'll give you an insight on whether you guys can do 19 unbroken and sustain that for 15 minutes, or you guys can start breaking up in sets of 10 and 9. More on the strategies on the wall ball later. But for the warm-up, just do that, okay? Let's talk about mobility as well. Another extra here is why you guys are doing your wall balls and why you guys are doing your rowing. If you guys feel like there's a bit of tightness on your ankles, it might be something to address as well, just so you guys, again, be more efficient with the movement, okay? And last but not the least, this one is often overlooked, but you guys want to do a couple of hollow holds or hollow rocks, some arch holds and some arch rocks. And the reasoning behind this is if we can get your core and your lower back a little bit more activated, one, your wall balls will have less collapsing, therefore you move a little bit better. Two, on your rows, you're going to be pulling a little bit more efficiently because your lower back and your core are both activated and ready to go, versus not doing them at all. Okay? All right. Let's talk about strategy now. So we mentioned earlier that this is a pacing game, and it's exactly that, right? We're looking at a 15-minute workout, and if you go at a 2, 3, 4, 5-minute pace, right off the bat, you're going to hit a wall, pretty much, right? Get to that 5-minute mark, and you have no more energy to sustain either efficiency or movement for the remaining 10 minutes. So you have to think the long game on this one. Don't be a hero just because like it's the first workout of the open and you're super excited, or it's your first time or your sixth time, I don't know, 3, 2, 1, go, everything feels great, and you go blast out crazy. Tell yourself to calm down, hold back, and play the pacing game. If you have any energy left, like in the last 2-3 minutes, then by all means play the hero, be the warrior. But until you get to that point, you gotta be smart with that, okay? Part 2, stay aware of your breathing. More oxygen, more air in your system keeps your heart rate down. The lower you can keep your heart rate for longer, a lot of things can benefit from that. 1, we have more awareness, you get to move a bit more efficiently. 2, lower heart rate means you don't get tired as fast. So we can get to the 15-minute mark doing more repetitions without you guys actually burning out. And all of this actually just involves that creating an awareness and space in terms of what your breathing is doing. And I want to bring this up because not a lot of athletes actually kind of pay attention to this. They just think about, oh, I need to do 19 wall balls, and oh, I need to do a 19-calorie row, and just going back and forth, and that's it. And they have thoughts that enter their brain about like, oh God, this is so hard, oh God, this is so painful, what is my break set on the next set, so on and so forth. But in reality, if you guys can just create a little bit more awareness and space in terms of your breathing, you'll benefit quite a bit more, okay? Last but not the least, before we move a bit more forward, we've got don't waste your energy on poor movement, right? Now, when it comes to like the last 7.5 minutes, last 5 minutes, there will be a tendency that you guys will feel a lot of fatigue. And this is where it's more important for you guys to actually be very aware about how you guys are moving and what you guys are doing. So, like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to the wall balls, try to be a bit more upright. Let's use more of the front of your legs. When it comes to your row, try not to hunch over too much and try to engage more from the hips and the lower backs, just so that you guys can kind of conserve your energies and muscle groups for both movements. Because if you're using quad dominant row and quad dominant wall balls, lower back and hip dominant row, lower back and hip dominant wall balls, you're gonna have a hard time. So try to adjust that, okay? And again, just like the breathing, just try to create more awareness and space with that. It'll move a bit more efficiently, you'll get a higher score. Last but not the least, guys, before we pass it on for 19.1, don't forget to have fun. It's the first workout of 2019. I wish the best of luck for all of you guys who are doing this for the first time. If it's your repeating year, welcome back. Don't forget to have fun. Go kill it out there. We'll see you guys for next week in 19.2. This is Joe, by the way, head coach of Central Ground CrossFit and Merge CrossFit, working for Habitat CrossFit as well, and the Dirty South Project, and the Ground Growth Podcast. We're not entirely sure yet where we're going to be posting this, but we wanted to create this to kind of help everybody and anybody out there, especially here in the Philippines, where CrossFit is still blooming and vying for a lot of people and a lot of bosses. Till next week, 19.2 guys. We'll see ya. Cheers.